Well, I'm not talking to my Republican colleagues because they're not in town. They aren't here. They're spread out across the country. They've been told to stay home. And, candidly, I'm surprised any of them can still stand up straight because most of them have lost their spines over the last 10 months of this administration. None of them will speak out on hardly any issue right now. So I wish I was talking to my Republican colleagues, but they're not in Washington, D.C. to talk to.
Is there any discussion about Democratic leadership trying to get a conversation going with the president himself? It has been suggested that he would be the one that could end this shutdown in a matter of hours or days.
The president needs to get back to the negotiating table with Democrats and Republicans. We are here. We're working. We're ready to sit back down with this administration to get the government open. And so the best way to pay our troops, the best way to get TSA workers paid is to come back to the table and let's get the government open. Minnesota is going to see our premium increases, open enrollment on November 1. So when I think about what's happening back home with many of my farmers and ranchers, which I know we're going to talk about, 27% of America's farmers and ranchers are on the ACA. And I've got a family in Minnesota whose costs are going to go up, their premiums from about $4,000 a year to $27,000 a year as a result of the ACA tax credits expiring. So they need to get back to the table and work on behalf of America's farmers and ranchers and working folks across this country.
That's going to be tough news to get a week from Saturday when those open enrollments begin. But let's move to the president's plan to import beef from Argentina. As you sit on the Agricultural Committee, you represent, as you've mentioned, a lot of farmers in your district. So what impact would this have on your constituents? What are you hearing from them about it?
Well, look, this is either corrupt or stupid, and it's probably both. We all know that this president is trying to impact the outcome of an election in Argentina right now by propping up their economy. And look, my farmers and ranchers think it's egregious that we have already. Treasury has sent $20 billion to prop up the economy in Argentina, while family farmers around this country are hurting and need relief. And this administration has refused to even roll out that conversation during the shutdown, but yet they're going to send money to Argentina. The beef price issue has really roiled farm country over the last week throughout Minnesota and this country. I mean, the president lecturing cattle ranchers on beef pricing in this country. Argentina, we have a trade deficit with Argentina that has just, been incredible. Think about this. They have only bought $7 million of beef from America in the last little bit, and we're going to send all this money and prop up Argentina. So look, this is once again make Argentina great again. It's at least farmers and ranchers are calling it out with this administration. And at the end of the day, this president, as well as his ag secretary, needs to stop telling America's farmers that they love them, and they need to start acting like it.
Okay, I must ask you about the president's ballroom construction project, which is obviously now underway. We're going to show some images of the East Wing demolition. It has drawn so much criticism, from the visuals to the timing of the demolition, and also destroying historical property without consultation with either Congress or the White House Historical Society. What questions do you have, Congresswoman, about what is happening here and why now?
Alex, I am absolutely outraged with what's happening at the White House and the destruction of the White House. I can't put a nail in the wall in my congressional office where I'm sitting and coming to you right now without calling the architect of the Capitol. That is not allowed. I can't put a damn nail in the wall. And so to have the president, without consultation, literally desecrating the White House and to put up a structure that is going to be much larger than the entire White House, I can't think of anything that is a metaphor more fully for the destruction that's being caused by this administration. And look, I think Congress has a role here, but like everything else, my Republican colleagues are not speaking out. They're not stepping up. They're not willing to push back to this president. Instead, they're going to, a concrete jungle that is now the White House lawn, and they're having lunch and celebrating with this president. So, I just think that, whoever is our 2028 nominee ought to make it a priority, and we ought to make the damn companies who have built it tear it back down and restore the White House to its actual structure. This is just incredible.
Minnesota Congressman Angie Craig, thank you so much for your time with us. Appreciate that.